Is there a gap in your employment history? Are you unsure how to job search during the gap or how to explain this gap to your potential employer? In this video, I will talk about employment history gaps, about ways to approach these gaps and how to justify them during your job interviews. Because without an explanation, some employers may assume that you are not a committed professional. I'm Marat from EMMOTION, mymotion.com, career and recruitment services agency. Look me up on LinkedIn. Please subscribe to my channel below and hit the little bell so you won't miss out on the latest career and personal growth content. Also, thumb up the video if you feel it was useful. So, is this gap in your employment history really important? Career break on a resume can indeed be a red flag. It can make you lose some opportunities. However, the reality is that this gap is as important as you want to make it. There are different scenarios related to employment gaps, which I'm going to cover. If your case is that you haven't taken a career break yet, then plan it carefully to ensure a smooth return to the workforce. And stick with me till the end to boost your confidence if you are currently in your employment gap. Now, first situation is when you have had gaps or a sabbatical leave previously, but you are currently employed. What to put on your resume? If the gap was in the past and you've been employed ever since it happened, you don't need to call it out on your resume. It doesn't mean you should be hiding it, but you don't need to give out too many details, unless you are specifically asked about it during the interview. So what to say during the interview? If you've been in your role for a year or longer, the potential employer will be focused on your most recent position, asking you all the related questions. There is no need to explain every single gap or why you left every single position and what you did in between. Otherwise, your interview will turn into constantly justifying your expertise. If you are specifically asked about a gap, you should mention your reasons without getting in details, always focusing how you wanted to get back to work once certain issues were resolved. Now continue to the situation 2, where I give a step-by-step answer. Situation 2, you are currently in your employment gap. What to put on your resume? If you are currently in your employment gap, use different way of mentioning the gap in a resume, like using years instead of months. For example, you worked in a certain store from 2018 to 2020 as a store manager. Also mention what did you do while you were unemployed. Did you have a baby? Did you have to take care of a relative? Health issues? Did you freelance or consult? Was it a sabbatical leave? How about volunteering? All of those would count as work or as a valid reason for a gap and something you can mention in your resume. Now, these are the steps to formulate your interview answer if you are currently in your employment gap. So what have you done during a gap? If you have been looking for a job for a long time, you can now discuss how you are looking for a very long-term project and not just a paycheck. Mention everything you have done during the gap. Focus on the efforts you have made while being unemployed. Discuss any classes you have taken or any volunteer work you got involved with. Pursuing higher education, volunteering, and freelance projects can be very impressive. All attempts to improve your skills will be viewed in a positive light. It could be a language class, photography, or cooking skills, just to mention a few. Don't overshare. Do not share way too much information unless you feel it's necessary. It should be easy for you to read what to say next or whether to share more information judging by the interviewer's reaction. The hiring manager doesn't have to hear every single detail of your sabbatical trip to Asia or a sleeping schedule of your little baby. Don't overshare until you see the enthusiasm or wanting to hear more about it. If you faced challenges and were forced to take a gap due to a tragedy in a family or health issues, be careful with too many details also. If you break down in tears during your interview, which is completely normal, while remembering what you have been through, it may seem as you still need some time to grieve over things. It could also affect on your overall confidence during the rest of the interview. Any of us who have ever lost a family member or who have been through a sickness of a close person would show empathy and understanding. Be confident. You have to be 100% confident in yourself and in your employment gap explanation. If you show insecurity in your decision, the hiring manager might also feel insecure. Don't feel like you have to justify your decision. Just let the hiring manager know what you have done and what you needed to do during your time off. Own your decision and explain it clear and confidently. Show enthusiasm and being ready for returning to work. Highlight why this job would be exciting for you and an excellent fit. Move on. There is no reason to dwell on your employment gap. It's right there on your resume. But don't feel as if you need to acknowledge it for more than 1 or 2 minutes. Your employment gap is probably a lot shorter than the amount of experience you have. There is no need to let this brief moment of time define you or what you are capable of. Go ahead and move on to your previous experience and all of your accomplishments. A good way of changing the subject would be asking the employer a question, like what do you like the most about this company, for example. Gaps in employment happen, and all hiring managers realize this. If you've made it to the interview, they were obviously interested in your resume. So when it comes to explaining gaps in employment, it's your best to be upfront, honest and optimistic. Don't get discouraged if a few companies said they are not interested. Those are not the companies you would want to work for anyway. They probably have horrible internal policies, toxic bosses who question every little thing you do, etc. Don't let this gap prevent you from getting a career you want. If you found this video useful, then definitely give it a thumb up and share it with whoever you think it might be beneficial to. Thank you and see you in my next video coming up.